Thank you. Good afternoon. Please have a seat. And welcome to the State Department. President Ruto, First Lady, it is an honor to welcome you here to the State Department. Evan and I are so delighted to host this lunch with Vice President Harris, Second Gentleman Emhoff. Madam Vice President, we know your leadership in this administration. The American people know your leadership in this country. I can attest to your leadership around the world as a powerful force for American diplomacy, and it is always a great pleasure to be with you and to work with you. Thank you. We're so grateful today to be joined by representatives of other nations, partners from across Kenya and the United States, colleagues from Congress, particularly the Congressional Black Caucus. Thank you for being here with us today. And I'd also like to start by thanking everyone who's made this wonderful meal possible, including Margaret Nyamumbo, who's an entrepreneur whose coffee export business is helping women farmers in Kenya and also delivering extraordinary coffee, which may come in handy at some point during this toast if you need a little bit of help. Thank you, Margaret. So, as some of you have heard over the last few days, this year the United States and Kenya are celebrating a milestone. 6 decades ago, and just a few months after Kenya won its independence, our two countries formally established diplomatic relations. Yet, our people had already forged deep ties. In one another, many Kenyans and Americans saw reflections of their own history, their own fights for freedom and self-determination. And that's what brought two young men together in the 1950s. In 1956, Tom Mboya, a rising political leader in Kenya, came here to the United States. He was on a speaking tour about his nation's struggle for independence. Backstage at an event in New York, he met Bill Scheinman, a young American entrepreneur who supported his cause. They hit it off immediately. They decided to continue their conversation at a restaurant, and they ended up talking all night. Mboya shared his efforts to assist rising Kenyan leaders who were going to college. Scheinman wanted to help. In the coming years, they started a foundation to support Kenyans studying in the United States. The group identified outstanding students. They rallied donations. They chartered flights to bring them to U.S. colleges and U.S. universities. Eventually, Mboya convinced a young American senator by the name of John F. Kennedy to provide support. Soon, this program became known as the Kennedy Airlifts. This initiative brought hundreds of Kenyans and other East Africans to the United States over the years. Many became trailblazers in medicine, academia, civil society, government, the media. A number worked alongside Mboya, one of Kenya's founding fathers. Mboya and Scheinman themselves became friends for life. Mboya was the best man at Scheinman's wedding. Years later, when Scheinman died, he was buried in Kenya next to Mboya. President Ruto, you once said that nations are driven forward and changed by individuals, ordinary men and women who believe that they can make a difference and can change the status quo. Mboya and Scheinman shared that belief and acted on it. So does President Ruto. His own story, rising from a kid who went to school barefoot until he was 15 years old, earned money selling chickens by the side of the road, to become president of his country, is a testament to that very idea. And Mr. President, I think and hope that you felt these past few days the gratitude that we have for our partnership and for your leadership. Ben Franklin looks down upon us, our first diplomat, and he was known for his aphorisms. One of them, many of us know, is, "Well done is better than well said." Anyone who has the benefit of working with and listening to President Ruto knows that he excels at both. Countless other Kenyans and Americans have also dedicated themselves to doing their part. And for generations, our people have continued to collaborate to advance our shared values, our hopes, our visions for the future. Today, our countries are working together to grow inclusive economic opportunity, to shape cutting-edge technology in Silicon Valley and the Silicon Savannah. We're supporting the transition to clean energy, improving our capacity to prevent, to detect, to treat infectious disease. We're working to counter terrorism, to resolve conflicts, to help restore stability to some of the most insecure places, including Haiti. These are areas where President Ruto has demonstrated critical personal leadership, not just in the region, but around the world. Our citizens, our communities, our civil societies are also working every day to strengthen our democracies, to bring ourselves a little bit closer to the free, open, just, and equitable societies that we both aspire to be. Long after the airlifts, we continue to grow the ties between our countries and between our people. Earlier this week, President Ruto and President Biden announced a new educational exchange program focused on STEM, named after the Kennedy and Mboya partnership. When Kenyans and Americans collaborate, they're not just leading on the issues that matter to our people, they're leading on issues that matter to people everywhere. That's the story of Octavia Carbon. Its team of Kenyan engineers, scientists, climate change experts are building machines that pull carbon out of the atmosphere. Their goal is to become the first carbon removal company in Africa to lower the cost of this critical technology. The Octavia team started working from a kitchen table. Now, they've created a machine that can absorb as much carbon in a year as 2,000 trees. When that technology is ready to deploy, Octavia Carbon will team up with a U.S. company to store all of the extracted CO2 in the ground, and together they'll help make our shared planet more sustainable for generations to come. I'm told that in the Octavia Carbon warehouse, the place where they're actually building and testing these prototypes right now, there's a mural, and it's got two portraits on it. One depicts the company's namesake, the great black American writer Octavia Butler, whose science fiction stories challenge readers around the world to imagine a different future for our societies. The other portrait is of one of the greatest marathon runners of all time, the great Kenyan athlete, Eliud Kipchoge, who once said that he lives for moments when he gets to challenge the limits. That's the spirit that animated Tom and Mboya, Bill Scheinman more than 60 years ago. They challenged the limits of their time in pressing for more free, more just societies in both of our countries. It's the same spirit that unites Kenyans and Americans today. The determination, the creativity, the audacity to chart a path beyond what we believe is possible. To not only imagine a better world, and to make it, and to make it together. So, please join me in a toast. Thank you. To every limit that our people have already surpassed, to the limits that we will exceed together. And now it's my great honor to present to you the Vice President of the United States.